People always ask how I balance my family life with 400 shows a year. I'm just doing what I love with the people I love. It's my magic life.
I like Wes Iseli. I like everything about him.
All right, guys, we're back. And this week it is spooky season.
Yes.
We're in Halloween season. And my Halloween season starts, I found out this year, I'm allowed to say my Halloween season starts July 5th. I'm okay with that. I love this time of year. So I had this person on before, and I said, this is great. I think it was like February. And I'm like, but you'd be a great guest for a spooky season, Halloween season. Everybody, it is Kristy Sumner from Soul Sisters Paranormal Investigation. What's up, Kristy? How are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you guys for having me back. I'm very excited. I love speaking with you last time, so I'm sure this is going to be a fun show.
Did I get the name of the company correct?
Yeah, so Soul Sisters Paranormal is our team. And then my business partner and I, we have a company called History, Highways, and Haunts, LLC. And so that's kind of a side gig of what we're doing here with Soul Sisters. So we can talk about both of those entities.
All right, so if somebody hasn't heard our previous podcast, tell them about where you are and what you have going on there.
All right, so with Soul Sisters Paranormal, we are an all-female paranormal investigation team. So we go around the country, really investigating reportedly haunted locations, and then taking the historic narrative of that location and coupling that with any paranormal or unexplained evidence that we find during the investigation. So we've been all over the country doing that. We started in 2014, and then in 2021, my business partner and I, we met through the paranormal and became great friends. And we opened a company called History, Highways, and Haunts. And we're here in Tennessee, in Huntsville, Tennessee, which is just outside of Knoxville. And we have the historic Scott County Jail that we have a daytime museum in, and then we run after dark tours there. And then we formed a partnership with Historic Rugby Incorporated to run all of the after dark programming at Historic Rugby, which is a small town that was formed in 1880. So we run after dark tours at both of those locations, and it's been a lot of fun for the last 4 years.
So your after dark tours is just taking them through the jail. It's not like we did a haunted tour of Richmond and they took us to different locations.
That would be like the other one she was talking about, I bet. The small town one, right? Taking them different locations in there.
Yep. So we do both of those. So at the jail, the historic Scott County Jail, yes, we take you through the jail. We take you cell by cell, room by room, telling you all the history of the building as well as all the haunts, all the legends and the lore. So then we show you some of the audio and video evidence that's been captured inside the jail while we walk along that tour. And then at Historic Rugby Incorporated, or at Historic Rugby, we take you through the village and talk about the history of the village, all the legends and lore. And then we take you through some of the original 1880 structures. And we give you some paranormal equipment. So we kind of try to make it a little bit more immersive than what you see on some of the other tours around some of the different towns in the country. So ours is a little bit more immersive, kind of give you a taste of what a paranormal investigation is actually like.
Holding the equipment and going through. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So tell me the town again that you're in.
It's Historic Rugby. So it's about, like I said, here at the jail, we're about an hour northwest of Knoxville. And then Rugby is another probably 15, 20 minutes from here, northwest.
We love you. I want to go see this.
You should come.
Correct. Yeah.
So Natalie's going, since we talked to you last, maybe she was doing it. She's going back to college to get her master's in nutrition. So this
fantastic.
year we didn't take vacation. We haven't done anything but work and study, and doctor's visits. And but boy, I can't wait for this year to be over so we can get some stuff done. So you are a checklist. This would be amazing.
That it would be so fun.
So if she doesn't graduate till December, are you doing any like a Friday night or once a month nighttime showings? Season?
No, we do tours year round. So every Thursday through Sunday night at both locations. So we do tours every weekend.
But
even in the snowy. Yeah, at night. Yeah.
How long does it last?
But the tours at both locations last about 2 hours.
The kids can sit in the RV and watch. Is there parking for an RV?
Yes, yes. We just had a
traveling.
couple. We just had a family from Indiana come down on Monday night, and they parked their RV there at Rugby. And you can park it here. We've got a big parking lot here outside the jail, so we've got it all set up for you. There's no excuse, Wes.
We're gonna leave the kids in the car, and then I'm gonna come home. I'm gonna come back to the RV, and I'll be up all night long driving home, freaking out. I want to do it. I love you. I want to be a part of this world, but I am not brave.
No, we have to
Oh,
stand so we can do both locations.
You do the scheduling.
I want to do both.
I'm telling
yeah.
you, I want to do this.
And you can lodge at Rugby. Rugby has some of the original 1880 houses. They have rooms that you can lodge in, or you can rent.
Cool.
Yes, or
I
you
don't
can
wanna
rent the
stay-
entire
My
house.
RV safer. My RV. I don't want
We could rent the entire house.
I like tiptoeing and the scary. I don't like living in it.
But no, you have an in. We can ask her, like, okay.
Can she sleep with me?
No.
Easy, Wes.
Okay, this house, if we rent it, is it all nice spirits or do we? Yes.
No. I'll pee the bed because I'll be afraid to get out to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, the spirits that we have at the jail and at Rugby, you know, they just want to tell their story. And that's really what I found every place I've done an investigation. You know, we've never run into anything evil, malicious, demonic. I've never been touched. I've never been scratched. I've never been, you know, scared that I run screaming out of a location. You know, when you go in and you respect the location, you respect the history, and you respect the spirits that are there, they respond in kind. And so we've never had an instance where anything has been hurtful towards us. We always take in a positive energy, a respectful energy, and I think we get that in response.
So a little quick ghost story for you. Talk about the RV. I feel totally safe in my RV now, but the first RV we got was an old beater, just to learn, can we drive an RV taking my family around the country doing shows? Is an RV feasible? I don't know any other magicians that travel in an RV that do what we do, just like taking our family on the road. We don't know any other magicians full time that do that. We have to figure it out as we go along. This RV, I'm driving it from the place I rented it from, and it's this big cavernous thing behind me. All the lights are out, and I'm getting a weird feeling. Just go with your gut, right? You have a weird feeling. It's old, so we're trying to remodel it. She's cleaning the bathroom.
I'm putting up new wallpaper and everything, and I'm trying to do it before the next day we have a show, and it's getting dark and it's getting darker, but you know, the lights are on in the RV and all's good. And then I have to turn off all the lights, and the last light was in the bathroom, and there's a step down, and I just had this feeling of somebody wanting to help me, like hand out. Like, I wouldn't have been surprised if I put my hand out. I felt somebody help me step down.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't a scare. I mean, it was off-putting because it felt weird, but it wasn't like a scary presence. It was just kind of something that was there. And I now wonder where, because that RV broke down on us and nobody could fix it. Like, they were like, the parts aren't there. We'd have to finagle this, that, and the other.
It was
thing,
something
blah, blah,
electrical.
blah, blah, blah.
The electrical system wouldn't start the car anymore. It was an older thing.
Yeah.
They don't have those parts anymore.
So the people bought it from us so that they could sell parts. And I'm like, I wonder what happened, because it didn't come back with us, you know? So I don't know. Yeah.
But my babysitter saw stuff. My daughter had funny feelings sitting back there at nighttime. Like, it's just weird.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But
It'd be interesting to know the history behind it.
We don't know the history.
No.
I mean, we bought it, from a third party, and they just used it as weekend
And they had
getaway.
bought it from somebody. I mean, it had gone down a line of people, so I don't know. You know, it was old. It was an old RV.
But I'm telling you, she asked me, like, we'd leave something in the car, a book bag for the boys or something. Go out and get it. I'm scared. Why am I scared? In my backyard. But I was afraid, like, I was going really fast, grabbing a book bag, running in the house. I don't have that with my new RV.
Yeah.
So there was something weird going on there, and I can't put my finger on it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it absolutely could have had, through its history and its provenance, it could have had, somebody pass away in there, or somebody, maybe took their family around and had great times in it and ended up passing. It absolutely could have had some type of an attachment, which would have been, kind of, I would have think about be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now looking back, I kind of wish I would have had like the tools that she had.
Too bad we didn't know you then.
But you saw something. your wallpaper and you're like, is that the fumes? Like you saw somebody walking.
Yeah, it was just a quick thing. You know, one of those things out of the corner of your eye as you're like turning, and then it just went away. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just a trick of the eye, or if I really saw something, you know?
Oh, you may have.
That feeling of somebody like reaching their hand out and like I feel like I would have felt something if I had tried to take it was just it was and it what like I said it wasn't scary. I didn't think it was scary. It was just off-putting because we're not used to it.
It's startling. Yes, absolutely. When you're not expecting it.
And you felt it when you're out there, you know, especially in the dark.
Of course.
What is your feeling in these investigations? Is excitement, off-putting, scary? Is it ever scary to you now that you're...
Every now and then I don't classify it as scary per se, because when we go into a location, you know, like say the Villisca Axe Murder House or something like that, you know, we're going in with this research mindset of trying to find what's there, trying to get answers. And so we become very focused on setting up our equipment and, you know, getting our questions asked and all of that. And so when something happens for us, it's one of those, well, we're reacting to it to try to get further answers, to try to get it to go further. Now, I won't lie, there'll be times when you're in a building and you hear your name called and it's like, whoa, that's different. But it's never been to the point where we're running out screaming or anything like that, or leaving a location and vowing never to come back. That doesn't happen. We've never had that experience. So it's all of the above. It's excitement, it's interest, it's research. So to us, it's just a fascinating thing to be involved in.
So these TV shows where they have people coming in and getting scared and screaming and running out, do you think it's just the way that they're entering the place, the way that they're treating it, or...
Yeah, I mean, you have to understand what...
facing bad spirits.
Well, you also have to understand with TV, their goal is to build an audience base and to get revenue, right? So for me personally, I do think that a lot of it is sensationalized. I don't think that I'm not going to go as far as to say that they fake things, but I will say that it's over dramatization. You know, if you hear a noise, most of the time we're sitting there, we hear something and we're asking, okay, can you do it again? Some of the TV shows, they run out screaming and stuff like that. Again, it's for sensational purposes, and that's totally fine if somebody wants to do that. Another thing that I'll say about TV shows is, you know, when we go to a location, we're there for, you know, maybe 8, 12 hours. A television show will go in there and they get a location for a week. And so they've got to do the continuity thing where they're wearing the same clothes every night they're doing this. So it's a whole production behind the TV stuff. You know, and that's fine. If somebody wants to do a TV show and if the audience wants to respond to that, that's fine. But I'll say what we do is a little bit different than what you see on the television shows. 99% of the time you're sitting in the dark talking to yourself. And that's pretty much the extent of what we do. But you know, it's fun. It's exciting. We've captured things that we certainly can't explain. And so to be able to put that out to our audience and fan base is really exciting for us because, you know, again, we're all trying to get these answers. What is it? What, you know, is there a story behind what we're seeing or hearing? And, you know, does it give us some insight into what's going to happen to us next? So
I could talk to you for 20 hours. I have so many. So, all right. So we just watched the Ed Gein documentary on Netflix, which I studied Ed Gein when I was in high school. I wanted to do movie magic. I wanted to do movie makeup special effects. So I was always checking out the horror books and the makeup stuff and everything and serial killers. But his story was made into Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Psycho and Silence of the Lambs. And so many other serial killers took inspiration from him.
Yeah.
Have you gone? I mean, I know you've done that one with the big shootout. I think it was in Florida. But have you gone to any of these mass murderers' houses or other things like that? Is that different than a regular haunted house? Because the energy there has to be totally different.
And you're right, it is. So I think the closest we've come is the Villisca Axe Murder House. That's out in Villisca, Iowa. This happened in 1912, where a family was axed to death. Right, it's still an unsolved murder. This family went to church. They came home that evening. Somebody was hiding in their attic, And when they all went to bed, they came and killed them, right? So, there was, and they were, the kids and the parents and all of that. So that's the closest we've come. And it was different. It was interesting because obviously there were children involved. And so that investigation, we were getting children's voices. We were getting responses from children. But what was also interesting is, aside from a couple of things that we got inside the house, we also were able to get some interesting findings outside of the house. And so and I say that because we were sitting out. So if you go to the Villisca Axe Murder House, there's the house itself, and then right outside of it, there's a little like shed where you can, drink coffee and have your equipment there to recharge. There's the bathroom in there, kind of like a little break room essentially. And so we were sitting on the porch of that, and we started getting some very interesting things on our equipment, that we kind of, through a series of questions, determined that it was the mother, Sarah, who had been killed inside the house, and she was just afraid to go in, because she thinks that the murderer is still in there. And so we got more readings outside than we did inside. So to your question, yeah, it is a different feeling. We did the Lizzie Borden house there in Fall River, Massachusetts. That was the site of the 1892 murders of the Borden family. And so Lizzie was charged with the murder. She was found innocent of those two murders. But again, it's a little bit different feeling when you go in there. Yeah.
Wow. So I saw on your social media you did you stopped by the Benny and Barney Hill roadside sign, and
I did
watch that. It was fascinating. I know a little bit about that. Do you get into anything like that? Like, do you dabble in the alien abductions and things like that? Is that curious to you, or that's just you just happen to be there?
Oh yeah, no, it's fascinating to me. I don't get into it as much as I get into the paranormal side of things.
Right.
But I mean, you can't look up into the stars and tell me there's nothing out there. I mean, there's just no way that we were the only ones created in this vast cosmos. So I do think that there's something out there. And I think there's a good chance that it has, come. We've been visited and all of that. So yeah, I thought the Benny and Barney Hill story is fascinating. There's some stories from historic rugby that some people think that there's been some aliens that have been spotted out there. So it is one of those things that I am fascinated by, but I don't go into as much as I do with the paranormal.
Well, I wonder how many abductions are ghost encounters where they're seeing something at the foot of their bed. It could be one or the other, and how that cross over.
Yeah, and there's a lot of theories surrounding that, Wes. Actually, there's a lot of people in the paranormal community that correlate those things, and then also with things like Bigfoot or the Yeti, they kind of correlate those things as well, because they kind of feel like maybe they're going interdimensional, and that's why we don't see them all the time. But you can be in the woods somewhere, and you see a Bigfoot, and then it disappears. So I think all of it is kind of interconnected. For like I said, for me, it is something that I'm fascinated by, but I just haven't gone into as much as the paranormal.
Well, that's a sneak peek for next week. We have
Yes.
a Bigfoot investigator, somebody that runs a YouTube channel talking about Bigfoot. So,
Oh, fun.
Halloween season. Heck yeah, let's do that. That's fun. So, you just got back from a convention. Can you tell us about the convention you were at? I thought it might be like a ghost hunter association, but it wasn't that at all, really.
No, and we do participate in some of those conferences and conventions that are strictly for the paranormal. But I come from a research background. And so a lot of what we do obviously is in the realm of tourism. And so with the historic Scott County Jail, we're in one of the most distressed counties in the state of Tennessee. And what we've been able to do is we've put this little town of 1,200 people on the international spotlight through our After Dark tours. We've been on radio shows, podcasts, TV shows, countless YouTube channels, and we're bringing tourism dollars into this town. And they're not just spending money with us. They're spending money at the hotels, at the restaurants, at the gas stations, at the Airbnbs. And so we're very proud of that, right? So we've been able to bring these revenue dollars in. And so last year I did a study on historic preservation through After Dark tourism. And I really wanted to look at other locations, historic locations, museums, and historic sites that are really hurting for revenue dollars, but aren't taking advantage of this after dark niche. And so, like I said, I put together this study. And so I've been asked to speak at some of these different conferences. So the one I was at last week in New Hampshire was the Travel and Tourism Research Association annual conference for their Northeast chapter. So I spoke about historic preservation through after dark tourism, what we're doing, how we're doing it, how we built our programs, and what we're doing on a marketing level to bring people to this location. Because what we're doing is we're saving these historic locations through unique tours, something that people are looking for, especially post COVID. They're looking for unique experiences. They want to visit heritage locations, but they want to do it in a unique way. They don't just want to go on a 20-person daytime tour where you just hear a volunteer or a docent talking about the history. They want something immersive, and they want something unique and more hands-on. And I think that after dark tourism is something that's really fulfilling that need, that want. And we're living examples of making it happen. So that's what I've been talking about.
Well, in Virginia, we have, I don't want to name any names specifically, but they're hiring high school kids, paying them a minimum wage. Mm-hmm. And when they give the tour, it is monotone and it is just going through the motions. So even though they're showing these amazing things, and I don't want to say what it is because it'll give it away, but over there is where Thomas Jefferson died. Over there is where Lincoln died. Mm-hmm. This way, and it's like they're little kids and they don't care. But you're passionate about it, so that your passion gets people excited. From a marketing standpoint and a business guy, because 400 shows a year, I love magic, I love marketing. What do you do seasonally? Because I can imagine, this is a busy time of year for you, but Christmas, January might be really slow. Do you do themed things like tell Christmas murder stories? Or, springtime, the Valentine's Day killer story, mm-hmm. and talk about those things. I don't know.
Yeah, that's exactly what we do. So here in Huntsville, even though we're a small community, they go all out for Christmas. So this entire downtown here in the Huntsville Square is decked out with thousands of Christmas lights. And so we have a walk that we call the Ghost of the Past at Christmas. And we revisit the story of telling those ghost stories at Christmas, right? I mean, Charles Dickens, that's what he did. And so we do that. We go around the town, and then we end with the tour of the jail. So we incorporate the town and the Christmas lights in our jail tour, essentially. Same thing with rugby. And to your point, Valentine's Day, we do some interesting things there. Well, both at rugby and at the historic Scott County Jail. Mother's Day, we do some interesting things there. In March, we do some theme with females because that's Women's Month, so we do some different stories related to women. 4th of July. And so we theme different things, to your point. But it's really all about bringing people for these unique experiences. So while we add and pepper in different stories depending on the season, our core historic narrative, our core historic story obviously stays, and we just kind of build around that. But again, to your point, it's one of these things that, again, I am very passionate about. And when you talk to these other historic locations, their volunteers and their docents and their managers are equally as passionate about their locations and its history. And they're begging for revenue dollars, either in the form of grants or something. But yet they're not taking advantage of this $30 billion a year industry that is after dark tourism. And so while they're hurting for money, they for some reason are very reluctant to take advantage of this. And I'm trying to show them that you don't have to be, right? It doesn't have to be murder, gore, and grisly stories. You're just telling your history after dark. And you're getting people in there that want a unique experience. And so that's what I'm trying to get people to understand. And, we've had several different locations reach out to us. How are you doing what you're doing? Can we work with you? Will you consult with us? And so we've had people from different states actually approach us to do that.
So do you have a discount package where if I want to come all 8 different shows? Annual pass discount thing? Because you have different shows that you're doing.
We have different tours, yeah. I'll work out a West package for you.
There you go.
We'll talk about it.
Because I want to see the Christmas show. I want to see yeah. All right. So since we talked last, the whole Annabelle doll went on tour. that guy just had a heart attack. I don't think the doll killed him, but that's my opinion.
Yeah.
And then Matt Rife, famous comedian, bought that and that whole thing. What do you think of that stuff? Is that too sensationalized, or are you following that as well?
No, I am following it to some extent. The thing with the Annabelle doll and others, these other symbols that people are kind of rallying around for the paranormal. Again, I do think there is a sensationalism behind it. Again, when you go back and you peel back the layers of some of these locations, obviously their goal is to make revenue, their goal is to make money, right? Now, I also think that with some of these objects and items, the intention behind a lot of this is also a driving factor. Like for us at the jail, our intention is to tell the history of the town, get some revenue dollars in here, and really get exposure to this little distressed county here in Tennessee. And so you've got to look at the intention behind what's driving some of these things. For me personally, do I think the Annabelle doll is cursed or, demonic? I personally don't. But if somebody goes in with that belief structure, I think it's going to manifest what you're looking for. And so that's why I think some of those things are a little bit scary to get involved with. Like for us, we don't use Ouija boards when we go and do an investigation, not because I don't believe in them, but the connotation behind them. I just don't want that, people to see, oh, they're using Ouija boards and they're going to get this certain thing because of that. So for us, for me, I think the Annabelle doll story is interesting. I do think Matt Rife is going to give some exposure to that house and everything behind it. I mean, the same thing is kind of going on with the Conjuring house right now, right? There's a big dispute about who's going to end up with ownership with that. So again, for me, it's all about going in with the right intentions. And I think if you go in with the right intentions, then you're going to be successful.
So it's kind of like magic. A lot of people got behind the masked magician and was really downing it because he was making up his own stuff. You can only levitate a lady with a forklift. He's making up stuff. But yeah, who's driving? That's what I said when he came out. Who's driving my forklift when my wife floats? My daughter, that's 2. Because only 3 of us, right? So she's driving a forklift behind the curtain. Yeah, right, masked magician.
Right.
But it did attract another population of people interested in magic. Hindsight, you can see that. But you see that as driving tourism for you. All that sensationalized craziness over there might bring people into your jail to see. Right?
It does. It absolutely does. But with that comes a certain expectation from these guests as well. So some of them, when they come in, they're expecting to get a jump scare. They're expecting to be touched. They're expecting something to come off the wall. And, while we have things that happen, absolutely, the things that we show on our tour, this is a collection of events that have happened over a 4-year time frame since we got the jail. Not every day do we have a picture coming off the wall. Not every day do we have a door swinging open, right? But when you have people come in and want to do like an overnight investigation, they're expecting all of these things to happen to them based on what they're seeing on television. For example, like Ghost Adventures, when they do an episode, as I said before, they're in a location for a week doing all of this filming. They give you 30 minutes of the investigation, 15 minutes of evidence review, and 15 minutes of, revealing what they captured. The investigators that come here, we give you the building for 6.5 hours. Yeah, you're probably going to experience 1 or 2 things, but it's not going to be every night full body apparition, something coming off the wall, door slamming open, screams and all of this. And so I think it's also built up. While it does bring people to the jail, absolutely, and to rugby, absolutely, I think it builds an unrealistic expectation sometimes. And then we have to manage that. We have to bring them down and say, yeah, there are things that happen here, but you're probably not going to get them all tonight. So,
quick question, and I'm hoping I can get it out right. Do you think that people who aren't like you, who don't really know what they're doing, just kind of playing with it, do you think that opens doors for bad things to happen more easily? Or like some kids playing with a Ouija board, do you think that opens doors for bad spirits to come out more easily than if somebody who knows more what they're doing, like you, did something along those lines? Am I making sense?
I was going to ask.
No, it does.
When you said it brings something on, is it bringing it on with intention, placebo effect that I mentioned in the last podcast we talked about, or is it a demonic spirit because they don't know what they're doing.
Right.
Well, a couple of things. So yes to your question, but let me preface that by a couple of things. One, for me personally, I do believe that there's demons. I don't believe it's to the extent that YouTube and Facebook and TikTok are portraying them with some of these people that are out there, these content creators. I've been to some of the most reportedly haunted places in the country. I've never seen a demon. I think that what we're communicating with on our level are just spirits that are trying to tell their story. For some reason, they haven't ascended to what's next. I'm a Christian, so I'll call it heaven, right? They haven't ascended to heaven yet. I think the demons are an example of the bad, of the good and the bad in the world. And I do think it's out there. I don't think it's to the extent that a lot of people perceive it to be. Now, to your question, again, I think you go in with this expectation, right? So imagine the jail, the historic Scott County jail being your house, right? Somebody goes into your house and you're saying, and that person is saying, well, I'm not going to believe you're here unless you punch me, unless you throw this chair across the room, unless you slam this door open. I'm not going to believe you're real, right? If you go in with that attitude, with that provoking attitude, a spirit is very well likely to say, all right, here you go, bam. Or I'm going to make you sick, or I'm going to push you, or something like that. It's going in with a respect level as well. And I think since I've been in the paranormal community for as long as I have, I think that the lack of respect is starting to grow a little bit. And so you're seeing different things happen because of that. Now, as far as portals opening and such, I've never seen it happen. I know of people that believe that it can. I've never done it. I've never seen it happen. Can it possibly? But it's not something that I've had any experience with.
Yeah, but I guess yeah, okay, I get it. But I guess my question was more along the lines of like kids who are like, my mom or my grandma died, let me try and reach her through the Ouija board, but they don't know what they're doing. But they're not trying to get it. They're not coming at it with disrespect, but they don't know what they're doing. And they bring in a bad spirit instead of being able to talk to their mom or grandma. Is that something?
I think it could be possible. I've never seen it, but I think it could be possible. Absolutely. I think the more you delve into something that you don't understand, there is the potential for something to go awry. But again, it's not something that I've personally experienced.
Yeah. Okay.
That makes sense?
Yes.
You're Christian. We're Christian. That's great. Bible Belt. We both live in a Bible Belt.
Mm-hmm.
I've had people just scream in my face and curse at me that I do magic for a living.
Mm-hmm.
The type of magic they're talking about in the Bible, sorcery, that type. I'm doing kids' birthday parties and making my wife float on stage. I'm not really making her float. It's a trick.
Right.
Have you had people come at you and say what you're doing is evil? Have you had anybody?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, how can you be a Christian and talk to ghosts? For me personally, this has strengthened my belief in an afterlife. It has strengthened my belief in God. You look at the Bible and the Holy Ghost, right? The word is there. When Jesus arose from the tomb, the first thing the disciples asked is, "Are you a ghost?" Right? They had to have some type of frame of reference. So this is something that we've been experienced since the dawn of time, right? So for me, I'm not trying to get people to believe in the paranormal or not. I'm just telling you that when we go to these things, when we go to these locations and we do these investigations, there are things that happen that I can't explain. I've never had my Christian belief. I've never questioned it. I've never wavered from it. So for me, like I said, we're capturing these things that I can't explain. And we've had people come, when we first opened the jail, we had a little bit of pushback. Oh, you're dealing with demons and all of that. No, we're not. That's not what we're doing at all. Oh, you're conjuring things. No, we're not. We're telling the story of the jail, and we're letting the spirits that are there, if they want to, tell their stories as well. And so, yeah, for me, it's something that's actually strengthened my belief in my Christian values.
So if the devil sends out demons to possess people to murder a house full of people, why would the devil just leave the demon on the property? He's done his job. Now he can go somewhere else. He wouldn't be there. A demon wouldn't. That's my thinking. The demonic spirit wouldn't live in that residence for 300 years. He's done his job. Now go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right?
And like I said, I've been to Villisca, I've been to Lizzie Borden, I've been to the USS North Carolina, and I personally have never seen anything like that. I've never seen anything demonic. I've never gone in looking for it. To be completely honest, I've never gone in and say, if you're a demon, let's go. I've gone in and asked the question, if you're here, do you want us to tell your story? And because of that, because of the way we go in and approach, and I think because we're an all-female team also, females have a different set of a different empathy than males do, right? We don't go in with bravado. We go in with that sense of empathy. And I think because of that, we're getting some interesting responses. I'll give you a personal story, because for me, when we do these investigations, I operate on the belief, like I said, that there's some reason these souls have been allowed to stay and they haven't ascended yet, right? So I do believe that one of those things is unfinished business. I think that there are some times where they're allowed to stay behind because something needs to be fulfilled, something needs to happen, right? So for example, my granddaddy died in 1986, and he and my Nana, my grandmother, he and my Nana obviously were extremely close. They had a great relationship, a great marriage. And so after he passed, it was really hard on her and hard on the family. And so she did remarry for a short time. It didn't last very long, but I was very close with my Nana, right? I'm actually named after her. And so in 2016, I had a very, very vivid dream. It happened 3 nights in a row. I had a very vivid dream that my granddaddy had come to me in this dream. So the first 2 nights, he came out of this, it was in the house that they lived in, and he had an office in that house. So in the dream, he comes out of that office door and he makes this really weird noise and he walks through the wall and disappears. So both nights it was like a nightmare for me. It was very scary, very real. I could tell you how he smelled, how he looked, how his drawstring was tied. That's how vivid this dream was. And so I was talking to my mom and I said, listen, I've had this dream 2 nights in a row about granddaddy, and it's kind of freaking me out. And so just off the cuff, she says, we'll just ask him what he wants. Well, the 3rd night had the dream again. And in the dream, I said, granddaddy, what do you want? And he looked at me and he said, I'm waiting on your Nana. You're going to be getting a call soon. And he walks away and I wake up. And I don't know what to do with that knowledge. What do you do? What do you say? Well, 2 weeks later, my Nana was in an accident. She ended up breaking her hip. She went into the hospital and she developed MRSA. So she never really recovered. So we did put her into hospice, and she was in and out of hospice, or lucidly in and out of hospice for a couple of weeks. And so when she passed in hospice, literally 3 hours after she passed, I looked at my family and I said, I know where she's going. She's going to go to the house and meet up with granddaddy. And I said, will you guys allow us to take some equipment over there to see if we can communicate with her? And my family's like, yeah, go. And so we have 2 devices that we use in paranormal investigations. They're called K2 meters. They measure energy, right? So we had a black one and a gray one. And my sister and I went and we stood in the room, right outside the room that was depicted in my dream, where granddaddy was standing in the dream. And I said, Nana, are you here? And both of these meters start going off. The energy level just rose off the chart. And I said, can you stop on the black one and just go to the gray one? Boom, the gray one lights up, but nothing on the black. And I said, okay, can you stop on the gray and just go to the black? Boom, all of this stuff is happening, right? And so through a series of questions, we determined that Nana met up with granddaddy and they were fine and they were moving on together. And so to validate this, we went back a week later with the same tools, stood in the exact same spot, asked the exact same questions, and we didn't get a thing. And so I say all of that to say, I think Nana was granddaddy's unfinished business, and that he was waiting on her to meet up with her to take her to heaven. And so that gave me peace and that gave me comfort. So I don't think Nana and granddaddy are spirits anymore. They're not here. So I'm not going to look for them. So I don't think that everybody who passes becomes a ghost or becomes a spirit. I think that you're allowed to either help a loved one cross over, or there's something that needs to be fulfilled before you can move on. And so that's an example of kind of what I'm talking about when I say, I think that there's some sort of unfinished business as to why they're here.
That's a sweet story. Oh, I love it.
So you have the sheriff that got shot from behind at your place.
Correct.
Do you think he is just waiting for that thing to be solved?
I do.
So that's his unfinished business, and at this point, it's never going to be solved because everybody's gone.
Well, we don't know. We never know. But yeah, absolutely. We do think through the questions that we've asked at the jail, he is waiting for that. That's what he wants. That's what he wants to see happen. Now, aside from the unfinished business, I do think that a lot of the spirits that we see in places like jails and prisons are really there because they fear retribution of the life they lived on Earth, right? They're afraid to move on because they think they're going to face eternal retribution. And so they're kind of willing to just to hang out here and tell their story and interact with us here rather than move on. So that's kind of the theory that I operate with when it comes to jails and prisons.
And that could be a good person or a bad person.
Correct.
Yeah, because we're all sinners. So, golly, yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. I don't know if we got to it in the last one, but TikTok, all this stuff. The ghosts in the cemeteries and Teslas. Have you seen those videos?
I have.
Is that
I have.
Is that all? Is there anything to that?
It's interesting. We use a device in paranormal investigation called an SLS camera, and it operates on essentially the same technology. And it is fascinating. We've captured some things on it that I cannot explain. We've had some false readings as well, but I've seen some of those videos. One of my best friends has a Tesla, and he says, let's take it to the cemetery and see what happens. So I would actually like to go in one and take some other equipment with us to see if we can cross-reference some things that are happening. But it's definitely possible, right? I think spirits have the ability to interact with pretty much anything, right? That we can put in front of them, whether it be a flashlight or a smoke detector or something. If they have the energy in that and can manipulate it, I absolutely think it's possible. Yes.
Wow. All right. Well, go ahead, Nat. What do you got? What do you got next? Oh, hey, here's my other question. I'm running out of questions here, so I'm gonna need you to take the reins because you're awesome, and I know you. And I'm probably taking you in 50 different directions you didn't know you were going to go in today. So sorry.
No, I love it.
When you say that your place in Tennessee is one of the top rated places, who rates them and how are they rated? How does that happen?
And that's a great question. A lot of times the paranormal investigators, there's a whole community, the paranormal community, right? There's a whole bunch of people on Facebook and all of this, different groups, Facebook pages and stuff. And a lot of them will put polls out. What's your most haunted location? We're routinely in the top 5 here in Tennessee. There are several magazines. Tennessee Tourism actually puts out a magazine every season about the most haunted locations. So if you go to the Tennessee Tourism website, we're on there as one of the top 5 haunted locations. So it's really just people, one, in our community, and then 2, in the tourism world as well, who've been rating us based on the feedback that they've got, and then the feedback of the customers that we've been bringing in.
Awesome. So it's verifiable because every magician's the best magician ever. So
of course. I can you are number 1, Wes. I have a great authority.
Every haunted jail in the world is the most haunted. So yeah, you can back it up. You can back it up.
Yeah.
So, what is? I'm just scrolling on your YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. What is the Bunny Man? Bunny Man. What the heck is that?
Yeah, so if you go to our website, soulsistersparanormal.com, or to our YouTube channel at Soul Sisters Paranormal, aside from full-length videos of our investigations, I've been doing these basically little did you know reels, about 2 minutes, on different things that I find fascinating. And there is a bridge there in Virginia that is said to be haunted by the Bunny Man. And if you drive through it, things are supposed to happen. There was an actual bunny man, a man in a suit, a bunny suit, that did attack some cars there that went through. A man yelling, "Get off my property!" and he had a hatchet and he went after some people. So I mean, there's several theories about that bridge because there's a lot of different bridges and tunnels, obviously, that are haunted. So there are a lot of different theories. Some people say that a man escaped from an insane asylum and he survived by eating rabbits in that tunnel, that sort of thing. But it's just one of those local legends there that I've been trying to find. I kind of go around. And anytime I travel, I try to find local legends in the area and highlight them. So kind of like
that. I'm in Virginia. What part of Virginia is the Bunny Man?
I knew it until you asked me. Give me a second. It'll come to me. It's on the video. I say it on the video. Wow. It's not far outside of Leesburg. But the name of the town escapes me. So because I did that one a couple of weeks ago. So I got to catch back up on the name of that.
We talked on the last podcast about the hospital that's in Gordonsville or in Orange, Virginia.
Yeah, the Civil War.
The Civil War Hospital. When are you going to do that? Natalie,
the Exchange Hotel. I mean, we'll give us a date. We'll go up there and investigate with you. Yeah, the Exchange Hotel, that is an absolutely amazing location. That's there in Gordonsville, Virginia. It was built as a hotel initially because it's right at the point of a railroad junction. So it was built as a hotel, 3-story hotel, beautiful. And during the Civil War, it was repurposed as a Civil War hospital. It saw both Union and Confederate soldiers. They've got something like 700 verifiable deaths that happened in that building when it was a hospital. And then they converted it back into a hotel. And now it's a museum. And so we got the opportunity to investigate there. And some of the best, what we call EVPs, we've captured from there. An EVP is something, it's called electronic voice phenomena. And it's something that we capture on some of our stationary equipment. So for example, we don't take any children on our investigations, obviously. It's just, 5 females, but there are no children whatsoever in the building or on the property. And so we had a voice recorder sitting on one of the beds. And during the night, we capture a child's voice saying, "Hi, this is my bed." Very clearly a child, very clearly interacting with our equipment, which was interesting. And then we don't have any men on our team, right? It's Soul Sisters, it's all female. And during the night, we captured a man's voice. He sounds like an older man saying, "I don't know, I'll be back at 4:30. It's a complete sentence. It's like, "I don't know, I'll be back at 4:30. So we don't know if that's a doctor or somebody waiting for a train or something like that. But yeah, the Exchange Hotel is a great location just for the history, to go for the history. But the paranormal experiences that we had there were pretty first class.
So when you hear something like that, "I don't know, I'll be back at 4:30. Is that guy just reliving his last little bit of life before he died, or
it's something that he actually said? So there we consider 2 types of hauntings, right? The first one is what we call intelligent. That's where I say, "Can you say my name?" and I get the response of Kristy, right? That's an intelligent. It hears me, it answers my question, it gives me a response. Residual, the best way that I can explain residual is, imagine if you have a vinyl record and it's on a record player and there's a scratch on the record. Every time that scratch hits the needle, it's going to blip, right? So essentially what a residual is, it's almost like a blip in time. It's something that either an anniversary will trigger, or a time of day will trigger, or a date will trigger. So for example, here at the jail, we've noticed that anytime somebody captures the set of footsteps coming up the stairs, it happens on the hour, which has been when a jailer would make his rounds during the jail. When the jail was in operation, the jailer would have to walk around once an hour. So on the hour, we've been capturing these steps, not every hour, but if you want to try to capture it, we tell you get upstairs on the hour. So for the "I don't know, I'll be back at 4:30, I think it was something that he's either waiting for a train or he's waiting for somebody to meet him at 4:30. For me personally, it sounded like almost like a conductor or some type of a passenger. It sounds like an old man. It's very, very clear that you can hear his voice. I think he was, personally, I think he's waiting for a train. Like, "I don't know, I'll be back at 4:30. And so that was kind of interesting to us. So I don't think it was intelligent. I just think it was something that was said at one point in time and something triggered it.
So, okay, this may be dumb, but is this kind of like you're hearing into the past almost?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a great way to say that.
Okay.
It's almost like something is allowing us to hear that, right? So for example, if I went and asked that man a question, I may or may not get a response. I think what he said was residual. At some point in time, he said that. And whether it was a traumatic event, or if that was the anniversary of him saying that, or that was the time of day of him saying that, I don't know. I can't validate that. But I don't think he was interacting with, like, the kid. I think the kid saw our voice recorder on the bed and he's like, "Hi, this is my bed. Like, what is laying on my bed? What is there?" I think that's intelligent. I think the kid was intelligent, but the man's voice, I don't. I think that was residual. Something triggered it to say that.
Yeah. So in a place like that, where it was a hospital and you had a lot of death and pain and everything, are they I wouldn't imagine they'd want to stick around because of the pain and everything, but is it because of a traumatic event that they're sticking around, or?
And sometimes I think those places have more residual than intelligent, and that's a great question.
Okay.
For me
Okay.
personally, okay, so for like the jail, right? The jail is made up of solid sandstone blocks, right? Inside the blocks are quartz, and we think quartz holds energy. So essentially our jail is one big energy box. And through the years from 1904 until 2008, that jail has seen murders, lynchings, violent deaths, natural deaths. It's seen some violent things. So I think residual hauntings, again, it's not anything that a spirit is actually there, right? I think the walls, it is just permeated into the walls, and the walls are essentially talking, right? And so, like the footsteps that we hear at the jail, I don't attribute that to any one spirit. It's just essentially us hearing the record. It's us hearing
Right.
the record of it playing back. So some of these places like Civil War hospitals, if you hear a scream, right? I think it's just the record being played back. We get to hear it. I wouldn't, if I heard a scream like that in a Civil War hospital, I might try to find out the source if they could tell me a name or who you are that's screaming, but I don't anticipate getting something like that, right?
Yeah.
But like when we're talking to Richard Ellis, the sheriff that was killed here in the jail, he's very responsive. I don't think he's just a record playing back. I actually think that he is a spirit that can interact with us intelligently. And so does that make sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
You gotta think people that die in those places are getting amputated. They're
Right,
bleeding
yeah,
out.
right.
They're not gonna go
Mhm.
back home. That's where they're traumatic. You got people at Gettysburg.
Right.
They want to go home,
Yeah.
but this is where they died. That's where their spirit is. It's not like they get to choose. They're trying to
But
resolve.
they do, because her Nana went home.
Well, that's after Nana died.
Right.
That case was closed.
Yeah. Yeah. So I didn't expect to have to quote unquote, interact with Nana at hospice, right? She has no connection to hospice other than that's where she took her last breath. But I
Right.
did expect to have her to have a connection with the house that she and my granddad lived in and built in the 1950s. So I did expect her to have a connection with that. And plus it was so vividly depicted in my dream. I was like, granddaddy's there. He's waiting for her. I mean, he flat out told me. I mean, like I said, I can literally tell you everything. I can tell you every picture that was on the wall behind him. I can tell you how he smelled. I can tell you it's the most vivid dream I've ever had. So I was expecting that. And like I said, I don't think Nana and Granddaddy are here anymore. They're not intelligent. They're not residual. They're just not here anymore. But for something like a Civil War hospital, I think a lot of what we hear, the screams, the shuffling, the knocks, the bangs, that sort of thing, it's almost like we're just getting to hear the record. To your point, the past.
So that's what I'm saying. Is if a Civil War like battlefield, wouldn't that kind of be the same thing? Because they could go home, like Nana went home, because they're not connected to that battlefield, except that's where they died. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I
Did you talk more to that little kid that was in the hospital? Did you figure out who he was or she?
Yeah, so there is a little kid in there. His name is Jeremiah. Now the only other, so the voice that we captured, we didn't know we captured it until after we left and I was listening to the audio. So a lot of what we've captured at some of these locations, it's on our stationary equipment that we don't hear in the moment. It's when we go back and listen to it after the fact that we knew we caught it. However, during that night, Jeremiah likes to play with things that light up like balls and stuff. So there was one instance, there's a really long hallway, and my friend Kim was on one end and I was on the other. And we each had one of those devices, those K2 devices, right? And we had a ball that glows when it rolls. And so we told him, so I was down at my end and I said, hey, Jeremiah, if you want me to roll this down to Kim, light up my meter. And it went off like crazy. So I rolled the ball down. And then, so Kim had the ball and Kim's like, do you want me to roll it back to Kristy? Boom, the whole thing's lighting up. And so I roll the ball back. She rolls the ball back down to me. So we were able to interact with him on that level. And so it was kind of validation of some of the other claims that have been there that this kid will play with you. But as far as the voice, I didn't know to ask follow-up questions on that because I never heard it in the moment.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
You're going back to 1800s and these people died. It's like Hey Jeremiah, would you like to see a PlayStation 2? Would you like to play Call of Duty? I mean, that would blow
Yes.
the time.
So, and that's a great point, Wes. So when we go to these locations, we do a lot of pre-research, right? The time frame, who was there, what are the claims and stuff. And so when we go to some place like that, like for example, with a flashlight, we don't say flashlight, we say torch,
Right.
or lantern, right? Something that they would relate to. And so we try to take what we call trigger items that would be germane to that history. So, for example, when we went to the USS North Carolina in Wilmington, right, that was a battleship from World War II. We took items that would be relevant to that time frame and to that ship. Same thing with every place that we go. We take things that are germane to that situation, and I think that really allows us to get some interesting responses. For example, we went to the West Virginia State Penitentiary there in Moundsville, West Virginia. I mean, it's a really cool Gothic style prison. It was built in 1876. It was really in operation until 1995. And one of the main spirits that's said to inhabit this prison is a man by the name of Red Snyder. And very bad guy. He killed his family. He was the leader of the Aryan Brotherhood there in the prison. Anybody he wanted killed got killed inside the prison. And so he was in solitary confinement during his time there. And he ended up being killed by a rival gang member. They'd let him out to go eat, and that somebody shanked him, and he died right there. And so, but he had two vices in life. The first one was he loved tobacco, and the other, he loved watching Days of Our Lives. And so every day they would wheel a TV into his cell, or in front of his cell. He'd get to watch the episode, and then they'd wheel the TV back, right? So we knew that. And so one of the things that I did is I downloaded, I'm the first person that's done this. I downloaded an episode of Days of Our Lives on my laptop, and I put it in his cell, and I said, hey, Red, this is for you. Watch it. We're going to go somewhere else, and we'll be back later to talk to you. So I pushed play, and we walked off and did our own thing for a couple hours. And then when we came back, I had timed it to where the laptop battery would be dead. So there's no interference from the electronics. And so the laptop had died, and we had some other things in there. And so we walked back into the cell, and I said, Red, did you see what we left you? And we got a response of yes. And so we started asking some more questions, and was getting some really cool, interesting activity. And at the end of that session, I said, okay, Red, we got to go, but thank you. And we captured a voice saying, no, thank you. It's like, I'm going to interact with you because you knew enough to respect me for what I liked and giving me what I wanted or what I needed, or what I enjoyed. And because of that, we got some really cool interactions. So that's how we approach our spirits. We try to bring things with us that we think if it's a kid, it's candy. If it's a man, sometimes it will be a cigarette or a whiskey or a pipe or something like that. Something to say we come in good faith. And so we had a really interesting interaction with Red Snyder there. And again, we try to treat it with as much respect as we can.
So what about, this might be negative, but what about like an empty gun in a prison, just to see if it gets moved, or is that outside of the realm, or would that be something you guys would do?
And that's actually interesting because my business partner, Miranda Young, and I, we had gone on an investigation. It was just the two of us. We went to the old Gilchrist County Jail in Gilchrist County, Florida. Now, this was built in 1908, and it was in operation up until the early 2000s, or the early 2000s. And so it became really run down when it was abandoned. It became like this drug house, really, really bad place. So the owner that bought it, she kind of cleaned it up a little bit. And so when we went to investigate, I mean, this is in a bad part of town. And so when we went to investigate, she said, listen, do you guys carry? And we're like, yeah, we both have our handguns. And she said, I highly recommend you carry your guns with you at all times during the night, just because of the location that we're in, not for spirits, but because, bad people. And so she and I were the only two people in the building that night. And so we'd set up so much equipment, and we walked in, and we were there for a couple hours, and we got nothing. We weren't getting anything. And so Miranda said, I wonder if they think we're law enforcement because we have our guns on us. And so she put her gun down on the bunk, and she's like, listen, we're not law enforcement. We're going to show you. I'm taking my gun off. She put it on the bunk. And as I'm taking my gun off, I take mine off, and I put it on the bunk. And behind us, a man says, good. I mean, we heard it clear as day, right? And from that, man, the night was on. We had everything going off, and every piece of equipment was validating every other thing. We saw shadow figures, we heard disembodied voices, we had our REM pods going off, we captured things on our stationary equipment. So it was almost like once we showed them that we weren't law enforcement, then they're like, okay, we're going to talk to you and really let you have a good night. So and that's a great question. So that, because that's exactly what happened on that night.
I was about an empty gun. I'd be afraid it would, the energy would pull that trigger.
So
So are you open carrying? Is that that was what you were open carrying? So they could
in
see
that building, yes, because it was, I mean, we had ours extremely visible just because, again, this was a building that was, for lack of a better term, in the hood. I mean, it was a bad place.
and
And
people
so
were probably people were probably camping
yeah.
out.
Well, it was a possibility. It was used as a drug swapping location. In fact, there was a murder that happened in there. One drug dealer shot another one. And so the woman who bought it, I mean, she tried to keep that out as best she could. I mean, there's a fence around it. There's a big chain link fence around it. But I mean, she flat out told us, she said it could be possible. So sometimes you got to go into these places more afraid of the living than the dead. And I mean, she flat out said, keep your guns on you the whole night. And we're like, okay. And so when we weren't getting anything, Miranda's like, I wonder if they think we're law enforcement and that's why they're not talking to us. And so we just showed them we're not. And then boom, the night was on.
All right. So it's spooky season. We talked
Yes.
about ghosts the whole time. Do you think there is that the placebo effect that it's heightened this time of year? Or do you think there is more activity this time of year? Is that just me and my crazy?
I think more people are aware of it this year just because it is, Halloween season. It's a time where we're moving into Thanksgiving and Christmas, moving into a whole different transition with the seasons. And so more people are aware of it. As far as activity, we have it year round here at the jail and at Rugby. The places that I've investigated, most of them have not been in October, and we've gotten great evidence at places that we've gone to not in October. I think people are just more aware of it. But it happens year round. Same thing during the day, right? A lot of people ask, why is it only at night? It's not. Their spirits are some of our best evidence at the jail has come from the day. Some of the investigations that I've done. I'm sorry?
It seems scarier at night. Right?
It does, right? So obviously, the reasons we do it at night are a couple of factors. One, most of the locations we visit have daytime hours, so we can't get in during the day. And to your point, it's just you use different senses, right? Your hearing is heightened, your smell is heightened, your sense of touch is heightened. You're more aware of your surroundings when you're not relying on sight. So smelling things, hearing things, you become more in tuned. And so it is interesting at night. And then, some of our equipment just looks badass at night.
So with your jail, do you dim all the lights at nighttime to make it more ghostly?
Oh yeah, all the lights are off.
All the lights are off.
Yeah, lights are off. We give you a flashlight, and we take you around. And then we also do guided ghost hunts, which are a little bit more immersive than our flashlight tours. So those are 3 hours. We bring out all of our equipment. We show you kind of how to use it, and then we sit and try to talk to our spirits. We do that at the jail and at Historic Rugby. And then we offer paranormal investigations, and that's for teams that kind of do this. So they bring out all of their equipment, and we've had teams from all over the world come. We had a team from Ireland come 2 weeks ago, specifically to visit our jail and Rugby. And we have something for everybody here.
All right, so website, YouTube channel, and merch. I want some merch. Here, let's give me the pitch.
All right. So for Soul Sisters Paranormal, you can go to www.soulsistersparanormal.com. We're also very active on Facebook under Soul Sisters Paranormal and on YouTube, again, under Soul Sisters Paranormal. If you're interested in the jail, it's the www.historicscottcojail.com. So historicscottcojail.com. You can find out all of our information there. If you're looking for Historic Rugby, the website is www.historyhighwayshaunts.com. So highways and haunts are plural. So historyhighwayshaunts.com. And you can find out all of our tour dates, see all the information, some of the things that we've captured. So that's our information there. And we do have a full gift shop here at the jail. So again, all that information is on historicscottcojail.com.
So I can get that on the .cojail.com. All right, perfect. So, dude, this has been an hour. Just because I ran out of questions, I can still talk to you for 10 hours. I want to have you back. God,
I love it.
You are amazing.
Oh, well, thank you.
The exchange, I've thought about it multiple times since our last conversation. She definitely wants to do that with you.
I
don't know that I'm brave enough.
But it's fun.
When you schedule, she doesn't want men in the thing anyway.
That's good. That's good. But I do want to go down to the jail and do that tour. But yeah,
y'all should come. We'll set it up. Absolutely.
But the exchange thing, you guys set that up because I'll stay at home.
Okay, we'll do it.
Be comfy. Anyway, God bless you. Thank you for being here. You're awesome.
Thank you. You guys are awesome.
See you next week.
See ya.
Check us out online at wesiseli.com and patreon.com/Wes_Isley for behind-the-scenes videos, blooper videos, never-before-seen footage, discounts on merchandise, magic trick tutorials, and more. That's Wes Iseli, spelled WESISELI.